Thank you very much for tuning in. There is no doubt that AI is all over the place, and this is what everybody's talking about. I also know for a fact that it's very difficult for many companies and insurance companies to understand where to get started and maybe even more importantly, how to get started. And that's the address of today's topic. I want to show you how it is actually possible to get started with AI and get advantages out of it, given the constraints and the challenges that incumbent insurers they're facing today. So hang in there and let's get started. I think it's important before you get into how can we use AI to have an idea of what is the state of the industry. Where are we today? Because if you don't know where you are and have a solid understanding of the current state and situation, it's going to be difficult for you to devise realistic ways of working with AI. So first, let's delve into what is the state of the insurance industry today, very short. Then I'll present some real AI insurance use cases, not the fancy ones that everybody would like to have, but tangible, beneficial, easy to deploy use cases getting started with AI and getting the benefits from AI. It's also a fact that when you want to start with AI and when you start to get enthusiastic about implementing AI, there is roadblocks in the insurance organizations today that you need to overcome. And again, state of the industry, understanding the roadblocks, if you are aware of these things, you also know what elements to overcome to make this a success. And that is where we're going to end. How do we actually make simple use cases of AI a first step towards a more modern organization? I don't think I have to underline what we are seeing happening in the industry and around us with generative AI coming in, large language models, the explosion of artificial intelligence apps just coming out there on the market day after day. It goes so fast. So we know we have to do something. And I'm here to tell you today that the solutions for you to do something are also there. So the question is, are you going to wait and see? Hope it goes over over time, that this is just a short-term problem? Or are you going to do something about it? This is the key question. Now, even if you want to do something about it, it's important to understand where are we in the industry. I guess on a broad level, there are probably more, but these are my immediate thinkings of the challenges, operational challenges in the industry. Incumbent insurers are faced with high or increasing overhead costs. Salaries are going up. It's going to be more and more expensive to be compliant with regulations. Prices are increasing. Your overhead costs are increasing. Our underwriting principles are historically simple, especially within motor insurance. It is basically a percentage of the vehicle premium, and that's it. This is a challenge because it makes it difficult to differentiate yourself. We are all working with legacy systems and strong but very bureaucratic insurance companies. It takes time to get things done. Claims costs are on the rise, especially again within vehicles, because it gets more and more expensive to repair modern vehicles with the technologies coming in and the advanced tools that they're using to build the cars. I'll claim, based on my knowledge and experience, that fraud is still above global industry average in our industry, which is again increasing our operational cost, overhead cost, and of course also our claims costs. I'll also claim that the customer experience in the industry is not good. I'll say, and granted, we have a lot of really good buying experiences, but the second we come to the claims experience, the whole experience falls apart. And that's one of the reasons is that our value chain, the providers that we're working with, are very difficult to control. It is still a rogue market of providers there. So it's for incumbents, it's very difficult to control exactly what it is that you want to do with your providers. So these are the operational challenges. On the other side, and I'm not going to talk too much about this, I'm just going to highlight it because I'm a firm believer we'll see this 3 to 5 years down the road. We'll have the rise of embedded insurance. The concept where you are selling your insurance products through other distribution channels like Amazon, Netflix, or car dealerships, or what have you. This presents another set of challenges for insurance companies, because all of a sudden you lose the direct contact with the customers. All of a sudden you become a vanilla product against the other insurance companies. Your brand will likely not be there because you're just an offering amongst others in another buying journey. And in order to do so, you also need to be much more specific and direct in how do you work with your products? How do you offer your products through APIs, through more granular product definitions, underwriting, so you can give customers exactly what they want, when they want it, and the amount that they want. So this is the state of the industry. We're having a significant set of operational challenges, and we're also seeing new distribution models, embedded insurance coming in. Okay, so I think I don't have to underline, if we're not doing anything, then your business will decline. End of discussion. Your operational costs, they won't decline just by themselves. Your legacy systems doesn't disappear by you closing your eyes. If you're not working with fraud, well, it'll still be there. And you'll see, and we can see this with all the aggregators that are doing a fantastic job, right? Digital distribution channels are just on the rise. However, that being said, I think if you're looking in the next 2, 3, 4 years, you'd be able to run your business as you're doing today very well, and then it's over. So I think you can actually, as a CEO of an insurance company, you can choose and say, I'm not going to do anything because it's not going to happen on my shift. I'll just make sure to optimize our businesses. You will see a decline, that's for sure. You don't have to do anything. However, if you're one of us who really wants to do something to make a difference in the industry, well, you have to do something. And it is not as difficult as you might think. I also realize all the talks about AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning. It sounds complex, and of course the technicalities behind it, they are, but using it is not that complex anymore. I also appreciate that there's a lot of concern. What if we start doing AI? Won't it take the jobs that we have? Won't it completely change the way that we work? Yeah, most likely. I don't think it's going to change the jobs, but it has to change the way that we are thinking. And I just want to highlight this one because I think it is such a positive message. You know, back in the days when you had to make a portrait, you had to call, before the invention of the photography, you had to call a painter who would paint a lifelike portrait of you. That, with the invention of the photography, this disappeared basically overnight. You wouldn't need to sit still for hours for somebody to paint a picture. It'll take a second and done. Now, instead of closing the market for portraiture in the world, the portrait painters, they changed their business model and say, okay, fine, we can't do the lifelike or the real life portraits anymore, but we'll start to do creative portraiture. We will start making people look interesting in different settings. So they just opened, with the invention of the photography, a completely new dimension of portraiture opened. That's what I'm thinking will be happening here also. We will be embracing AI, whether it's on your shift or the next ones, but AI will be embraced. The question is, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to leverage it? How are we going to work with it? Now, let me just give you a few very simple use case examples just to show you it's not that difficult to get started. And before going into this, again, I'm not going to bore you with the tangible benefits of AI in insurance. It's kind of like if you do automation, if you do process optimization, if you use AI, operations can become more streamlined. Your customer service can be embedded into your operations. Your underwriting models could be improved. Your claims management processes can be improved. And of course, in general, your improved quality of service can happen. So I'm not going to delve into this, but these are proven cases. So this is what happens when you start applying AI into your insurance model. For the insurance use cases, I think this is interesting. And very, very simplified value chain. I wanted to give you just a taste of, within the value chain, what is readily available on the market and can be done almost just by flicking a switch. There's the whole under risk profiling where you get the customer data. You use AI for data capturing, for making sure that you have the right identity cards, the right papers. It is AI. It is non-intrusive. It doesn't have to work with your existing systems. It's basically an app you can call, and the app will return to your company the complete list of the papers you're looking for. You can use advanced data for decision making. You can send a data set or a request to an external AI engine that it will come back to you in your risk profiling, saying, okay, with the information you're giving me here, I'll give you a green color to go or orange color where you would be looking at, maybe you have to look into these cases. These are use cases that are here, very cheap to come by, doesn't interfere with your existing systems and act as a decision management tool for your team. On the claim side, the idea is a little the same. The simplest form of AI here is still, well, we use AI to capture data about in vehicles, the claims, information from the policy report, for the police report. It could be a walk around of the vehicle to assess the at least external damage to decide what garage the car is going to. It can be a comparison against a big database of existing claims benchmarking. It can be the same comparison against a set of business rules that you have devised, or maybe best practice business rules. Again, non-intrusive, tells your claims handler, well, this is a green, according to everything, just continue. It is an orange, we have these things you might want to look into, or this is a red, well, we've identified fraud. And all of this doesn't have to interfere with your existing systems. And this is my point. My point is that these simple, easy to add on AI tools are out there. And they're working. And they're working in a sense where they don't have to interfere too much with what you're doing today. You don't have to change your processes, your ways of working. These are small incremental improvements using AI. The last one I want to mention is of course the customer service and the chatbots. I believe with the advent of ChatGPT or large language models, the whole concept of chatbot, kind of like it was with the photography when that was invented, is gone. The chatbots that you can create in minutes with ChatGPT, there are tools to do this, far exceeds anything that you can ever buy of a chatbot. So it's a question of getting them trained, and then you have in half an hour a chatbot that is better than anything you've ever seen before around your company, product, services, pricing, and what have you. So this is one of the things, and if you want to get started, easily get started with that. That's the simplest part. And of course, when we're looking at what the advisory firms are saying, we're looking into the same, right? The AI opportunities for insurers is in customer support, it is in underwriting, decision making, it is in coding. We didn't touch too much about this because in my experience, when you start applying AI to your coding, it's more complex. It works very, very well in many cases, but it also becomes more complex. We'll get back to that in half a second. And of course, the last one is for the claims and benefits management for your AI. Now, one comment I wanted to do about the coding. AI is fabulous of helping you traverse through the millions of lines of code you have in your legacy systems, document it, and identify where you have technical debt. Technical debt is a completely different discussion. We'll take another day, but it is one of the biggest inhibitors of insurers doing digital development. And if you use AI to define and describe your codes that you have in your legacy systems and understand where you have the technical debt, well, then you're well underway to recreate how you work with IT. Let's just look at these use cases one more time in the light of embedded insurance, because if or when you start to wondering, how do we get into embedded insurance? Again, here, there's a lot of these AI add-ons that you can use to improve your offering through the digital channels for embedded insurance. The data capture, the decision management in underwriting, the chatbots for customer service, all of these things are value-added services. You will get an embedded insurance provider to make you the preferred provider over the other insurance companies. So I hope this gives you an overview of that it's not that difficult to get started. It's not that difficult to get started, but you have to do it. And again, and this is also one of my favorites when I talk to people and say, yeah, but we don't know where to start, or it's difficult. And yes, because if this was easy, I mean, I wouldn't be standing here and talking about how to do it, because then somebody would already have done it. But I don't see it much. I see sporadic use cases, and I never see all-in use cases, and probably not, I won't see the next couple of years, but I want to see more insurers started working with AI. And it's not that difficult, but again, if it was a walk in the park, somebody else would already have done it. And I don't see that many somebody else's who've done it so far in the industry here. So how do we get started? Well, there are at least two types of factors, structural factors and people factors, that you have to be aware of when you start implementing or adopting AI. For the structural factors, we have our legacy systems, we have the culture in the organization, and then something which I feel is very typical for the Middle East is the lack of long-term investments. We are very focused on short-term results. On the people side, many are suffering from the not invented here syndrome. So when you come with something new, and it could be super interesting, relevant, exciting, and beneficial for the company, because it's not invented from the inside of the organization, it'll be dismissed as, this is not from ours, so we're going to do it ourselves. This also takes me to the next one, the fear of failure. When we're talking about things that we are not completely comfortable talking about, you could also be worried about not living up to the expectations, failing in the attempt to implement. And that will also make some people say that I'm not going to touch it, because you're worried about your job, you're worried about the position, you're worried about your seniority. And if you don't know, or you don't feel comfortable enough in adventuring into AI, you might just want to say, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'll leave it to the next one. And then again, underwriting is one of the things that are heavily under fire by AI, simply because it's a numbers game, and AI is fantastic for numbers games. And you'll find underwriters saying, but we need personal assessment of these underwriting principles. We need to see the data before we can accept the underwriting case. And that might be the case in many cases. But that shouldn't stop us from using AI at least to go to the decision or the decision management support. So you will be able to take some part of the underwriting efforts away simply by saying, okay, we will do the pre-calculation, and then we will give a decision suggestion to the underwriters. Anyway, so these are the things that you have to be aware of. We have the structural factors that stops us, and we have the people factors that stop us. Now, we have to get started, and getting started someday will also mean you never get started. It's not a day in the next week. Get started today, take the baby step, understand, take an analysis of where can we start? Is that the chatbot we can try working on? I mean, I installed a chatbot in 30 minutes yesterday, so it's very, very simple. It's not intrusive, but you have to get started. You have to try and get some experience working with it. So don't wait, do it now, or postpone it to your successor, if that's what you want. Getting started with AI in my world, and again, we are simplistic here, but there are two things or two areas. There is the action part, and there is the organizational part. For actions, understand how you work with your legacy systems, and you don't have to do it. You can just understand how you want to work with them. Be realistic about your organization's capabilities end to end, and get started. On the organization side, remember, without people, we don't go anywhere. So your HR structure needs to be addressed for this. It needs to be addressed to counter the resistance that you will face. You have to have some kind of proper IT architecture to support it. And I also wholeheartedly recommend that when you start looking at AI, machine learning, or anything optimization in general, start understanding and looking at the concept of process mining. I won't have too much time to go through this today, unfortunately, because this is very close to my heart, all of these, because this is where you get the magic to happen. But let me just browse through them. First, for the action part, lift and shift plus is a concept. The traditional lift and shift is basically where you take everything that you have, you don't change anything, you take it out of your existing servers and put it on the cloud. I believe this is a start, but I also believe lift and shift plus is where, whenever you do a change to your legacy systems that is important or a little bigger than not big, so to speak, you will lift that specific functionality out of your legacy system and into a new application. That could be a CRM system you are starting to build. So you're lifting it out of your legacy system and building an external CRM system. It could be process management. It could be your chatbot. It could be so many things. The theory here is once you start applying this lift and shift plus technology, whenever you have a project, a functionality that are a little more important than not important, you will maybe invest some more, but not too much, in taking it out of your legacy system and into a new setup, a new IT architecture that is more flexible, that is more ready for the future. This enables you to not having to invest in a core modernization, which in my opinion never works. It's too expensive and takes too long. This enables you to keep your existing core alive, and at the end of the day, theoretically, you will only have your financial information in the core, and you'll have all the functionality on the outside of the core. This is important because it enables you to start fast without many investments. Another one, and this is when you start looking at basically all change in your organizations, but maybe specifically with IT, I like to say remove the dust from your eyes. Incumbent insurance tend to have overconfidence in systems. Maybe because we're being told by IT we can do everything ourselves, it works. When the rubber hits the road, it rarely works. So be realistic about what you are actually capable of. It's nothing good and bad. It is an objective assessment. This is what we can do. This is what we cannot do. If you are realistic about this, you also have a realistic way of determining whether your projects are realistic to succeed or not. Do not underestimate the cultural resistance in your organization. We don't want to change. Human behavior, people do not want to change. And if you come with AI and new ways of working, this is basically you asking people to change. They don't want to, for so many reasons. I mean, I don't want to change my morning coffee, right, with tea. I also don't want to change my work habits. And so is it with all people. So don't underestimate this. You will find maybe people will be in front of you, excited and motivated, but behind you, they will not work on it and they will resist the changes. Also, don't ignore data quality issues. When we start working with AI and big data, well, they rely on big data. And if your big data is not in a good shape, well, the outcome of your data, your AI processes are not going to be as you want. And also, don't assume anything is seamless. Again, if it was easy, somebody would have done it. It is not seamless. It takes a little longer. Don't believe what people are telling you when they say, oh, but it's just 2 flicks of a button and then it works. No, it won't. There are many efforts being made to make the integrations more seamless, but it takes time. And just be aware of it, align the expectations. One of the things that I can see work well for insurers is to focus on the concept of non-intrusive solutions. And this is basically where you create a simple connectivity to an external AI magic. So you'll send some requests, you'll send some questions, some data to an AI engine that will do its magic and return a result. This could be you're sending some underwriting data, some information to an AI machine that then will assess the risk, find the right data, make some calculations, and return back to you what I spoke about earlier. Is it green to continue? Do we recommend orange? Take a look at it. Or is it a red? Don't do it. This is a simple way of getting started with AI. It doesn't change your processes. The only thing that you get is a very, very competent suggestion to this underwriting process, for example, or this process, should I continue, investigate, or stop? And you use all the magic from AI, but outside your systems without changing your processes and IT systems. This works. It is simple to get started, and you get the traction of getting to know how to work with AI and machine learning in your organization. From the organizational points, again, we have 3 we can get into details with. The first is your HR structure. When you start working with change, when you start working with people, likely you will find that your organization is maybe not ready to a new step of innovations or working with processes. In my experience, I recommend you to get a simple to understand human resources structure in the organization with aligned pay grades, with a clear career path for people. Why? Because when you start working with these new things, you can actually use this framework to work with your teams and say, you know what, I know you have to change these areas, but if you do this, this, and that, then you can see your career grade, your pay grade will increase simply because you improve yourself and you improve the results from the company. This gives your team a clear guiding star. It gives the team motivation to work with you. It also gives you arguments as to why the new people you are hiring to do these transformation initiatives, which you have to hire new people, by the way. It will give you arguments why they come in at a significantly higher price point than the team that you have today. And they will, you will not find experienced digital transformation specialist, AI specialist at the price points that you're having today. You won't, not if you want to do this successfully. And of course, your organization will know. And if you have an HR structure in place, you can say, yeah, but this is because the new people are here in experience and capabilities. You are here. We have this program to get you up here as well. And this is how it's going to work. You have an explanation. You have a way of explaining to people why this is happening and how they can get on the same boat, so to speak. Do not underestimate this. This is exceptionally important to avoid the organizational resistance and to increase motivation in the organization. One way of a very strong tool to support your HR structure is what's called process mining, where you will look at your processes. You will look at how can we identify the processes that we get the most value out of optimizing using AI with. This is a complex type. I will not get into details. I will highlight the concept and I will say the efforts, the outcome of process mining can help you describe or form the job descriptions for the people that you need in the HR structure and set clear, tangible targets and make sure that people, they are aiming for success, aiming for providing more value to the organization. Again, it's a motivational thing, but this is also a thing that helps you streamline the organizations and get ready for AI. The last thing is your IT architecture. I don't have time to talk about two-speed IT. I recommend that you look it up. It's a fairly old term. I think BCG or maybe even Gartner introduced it 10, 15, 20 years ago, and it's still very, very valid. It is back to the discussion of trying to keep the systems of record, your legacy system, but build faster moving systems around this. This is where the lift and shift plus comes into play as well. Thank you for listening. I know this has been a speed talk. We've gone through a lot of things. I've gave you an idea of where is the insurance industry in the Middle East today. I provided real artificial intelligence use cases for the insurance industry. Hopefully I gave you an idea of it doesn't have to be so complex in the way that you work. You can get started very simple, but very effective. We also discussed what are the roadblocks, how can we mitigate some of these roadblocks to get started. And then, well, it's up to you if you want to do it now or you want to wait until somebody else is doing it. But at the end of the day, it has to be done. I think you can relax for the next couple of years and keep running your business the way you are, especially if you are into more corporate business and not so much retail, but you'll have to get started. Maybe not you, but your organization will. This discussion is based on the white paper that we wrote on the AI advantage, which you can download also. So again, thank you very much for listening. Have a wonderful day.